All right, great. So we're here. Thanks for joining us. Probably want to see in the chat, people coming from what part of the world. Anyone is willing to put the first chat? All right. So guys, welcome. Are you guys doing good?
Very
Doing
well.
good over here.
Can you hear? Okay, fantastic. Lovely.
Absolutely.
Are we ready to kickstart this session?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Awesome. All right, great. So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning and good evening here in Asia. I'm based here in Singapore. Thank you to the entire team of XpoNorth for putting this great virtual event together, and to Tim Wright for the invitation to moderate this panel. My name is Epi Ludvik, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Crowdsourcing Week and For the Words. Today's topic for our session is work in the crowd. Crowdsourcing is transforming the creative and heritage sectors by tapping into the power of the crowds and harnessing and collective intelligence and insights. This panel that we put together, session, will include case studies from world-leading crowdsourcing projects, companies, and provides valuable lessons on the way to utilize the crowd to create value and solve challenges, right? Today I have with me Ed Polle. He's a senior project coordinator at Europeana. After more than 20 years in audio-visual archiving, including digital preservation and in international project management, Ed joined Europeana Foundation in 2012. He's a member of the community and partner engagement team, which aims at building partnerships around new ideas and technologies that encourage audience to engage with the culture heritage. Ed is the coordinator of Europeana Transcribe, an online citizen science initiative for the enrichment of digitized material from Europeana. Our second panelist is all the way to LA. My friend Dylan Berry is the owner of Smash House. Dylan is an ARIA Award-nominated, award-winning music producer, talk show host, and entertainment entrepreneur in the entertainment industry, and owner of disruptive crowdsourced music tech company called Smash House. He is listed in the top 1% most prolific media music producer by IMDb. Currently the voice and the host of SoundCloud Radio in Dash Radio, whose voice can also be heard on Netflix top show Spycraft. Anyone have heard? Seen that? Among others. He is a partner in Nordic LA, the leading culture export business for the creative industries, bridging talent in the Nordics all the way to LA, and is also the founder of a Noise Society, a secret society of leaders in the music industry in Hollywood. And my third panelist is the Emil Bielski, Managing Director at Crowd in UK, Crowd with a U and not with a W. Emil is passionate about delivering great advertising and works closely with many of the Crowd's clients, which include Regus, the WA, Avon, Eve Sleep, and Vans. Emil also leads planning, product strategy, data and effectiveness, e-commerce and tools. Having spent over 15 years in the industry, Emil loves getting to know what makes brands and business tick. Prior to joining Crowd, Emil worked across brilliant brands such as Sky, WWF, Lloyd's, Banking Group, and Santander, in roles as diverse as an ad trafficker, commercial lead, data strategist, comms planner, and more. We will do more of this Q&A towards the end. So I'd love for any of you who's participating, please leave the questions in the chat section below. I'll look for your questions from time to time, and we'll bring them at the end. So many times I'm asked, what is crowdsourcing? My journey started all the way from New York when I started Crowdsourcing Week. Back then, I was doing my own boutique advertising agency in New York. But basically, the answer to that is the think about as a practice of engaging a crowd or a group for a common goal, often for innovation, problem solving, or efficiency. It is a process of tapping into individuals or groups of people, paid or unpaid, who are linked together with a common interest to bring forward powerful increased results through their aggregated actions or activities. This is pretty much what crowdsourcing can bring to the table, and we are just at the beginning of this massive journey that crowds are participating in various forms and shapes and sizes. So where do we go from here? Well, I thought it would be great if I can just set the stage here to begin with some of the slides that I prepared for you. So just bear with me in mind, bear with me as I'm sharing these slides, and let me know if you are seeing my slides here. Can you all see the slides? Fantastic. Okay, great. So I'm really thrilled to moderate this panel with all of you guys. But before, let's just jump into some of the things that what we've been able to collect over the years with Crowdsourcing Week and the journey that got us here. So as I mentioned, all the way from New York, came to Singapore about 8 years ago. We did the first global conference in Singapore in 2013. So it's exactly 8 years ago, where we pretty much like touched all elements of crowdsourcing. And from here, we pretty much launched, we went all over the world with over 30 plus conferences in 25 countries and 4 continents. Now, today, we focus a lot around the scaling and helping out crowdsourcing platforms with the content activation and creation and creating opportunities for them. Every year at Crowdsourcing Week, we come up with our themes of the year, and this year's theme is about unlocking human potential. It is one of those themes that we felt there's something there are some bigger changes are about to happen. And these bigger changes are people are spending more time online, but not just for entertainment. Obviously, this is more about entertainment today, but not for entertainment so much. It was more about the productivity side of things. And so this is a really interesting time that we're living, but also want to mention about, beside Crowdsourcing Week, about 3 years ago, we also launched the Bold Awards, which is focused around the giving this badge of boldness to the not just entrepreneurs, but the projects who are being audaciously and being so bold in terms of the achieving the results and impact that they want to achieve. So there's 20 categories you can check out in bold-awards.com. So in this ecosystem of crowdsourcing, we brought this picture, this diagram for everyone to understand that a lot of times when I talk about crowdsourcing, especially in some parts of the world, in Asia, for example, by default, everyone thinks about crowdfunding itself. And so I was forced to come up with a more visual aspect of what crowdsourcing means for industries and organizations and the governments. And we put this thing together where pretty much gives us a better understanding where crowdsourcing fits or where the crowdfunding is. And with this, everyone can pretty much see that there is an opportunity for every organization and every sector to play a role or to be part of and create something that usually is only being created internally. So when we talk about crowdsourcing, we're talking about can be used internally and externally. There's a bunch of platforms. We just put some of the platforms here for you to just have an idea. Some of them may be familiar to all of you. Now, some of the platforms where the first wave of crowdsource solutions that came out, they started in this global recession that we experienced in 2007, 2008, 2019. These were the birth of the Kickstarters and the freelancers of the world and the and the Ubers of the world. However, what we're seeing now, we're seeing a very different dynamics, and these dynamics are changing almost every other day. And the reason why these dynamics are changing is because we have a very different crowds. The crowds are no longer just being a passive uh, participants on the World Wide Web, but now they're immersing themselves in it, immersing themselves in the platforms that are available. Just to give you an understanding, like where we are today and where we were. If you look at just in the year of 2017, we're talking about the collective knowledge being doubled every for about 13 months. And today, this collective knowledge that's being created is being created every 12 hours. So we're in that exponential participation, and this really can bring some an amazing opportunities for innovation, for getting data, training AI, and the list goes on. So this is pretty much what I wanted to share with you. So I'd like to go back and start first with the ad poll and bring Ad to the stage. So Ad, I did some of the introduction for you. Maybe you can give us your background a little bit, and then we'll go with some of the questions. Once we're done with your question, we'll go with Dylan, and after that with Emil, and we'll open up the floor for the other question that I got from the public. Welcome, Ed.
Okay, thank you very much, Epi. Yes, well, maybe I should start by introducing to say that the company I work for and what they actually do, that's Europeana.eu, and it's an organization, I always call it the digital platform which gives access to the digitized cultural heritage of Europe. We're funded by the EU, and we work together with thousands of cultural heritage institutions all over Europe. And so far, since the start in 2008, we have gathered over 50 million objects together, brought them together on a portal. And these come from museums, galleries, libraries from all over Europe. And even beyond, because we used to work also a lot with the Digital Public Library of the United States, for instance, and with Trove and other institutions who do similar initiatives. So we work together with institutions. We provide access to all those digital objects. We try to ensure that they are of high quality, and most of all, that they are freely available for everybody, for reuse, for research, for the creative industries, or for fun. So it's quite a broad audience that we aim at. But we at Europeana, we don't think that history or cultural heritage is only in institutions. We think it's also with the people at home. So this is why we started in 2011 with a project called Europeana 1914-1918, which was working towards the commemoration of the First World War. And we did this together based on a plan by the University of Oxford, who decided to organize events where people could come and tell the story of their relatives who survived or lived through the war experiences, and bring some objects to illustrate their stories. We were not after the objects. Sometimes we worked with museums who were interested in it, but then that was between them. Europeana was only interested in recollecting the digital representation of the story and the objects. And this was so successful because people really wanted to tell that story. So we went from Nicosia on Cyprus to Dublin in Ireland, and from Lisbon in Portugal to Riga in Latvia. All over Europe, together with all those cultural heritage institutions, we opened up the doors for the audience, and we gathered quite a lot of information and documentation. And in total, I think we have more than 500,000 objects gathered in those collection days, as we call them. But there were so many manuscripts and so many letters in so many different languages that we thought this has to be disclosed as well. So we thought of a way to try to engage an audience and to make sure that these written documents were machine readable, so to speak, so that they could be available for further research. So this is where we started working on transcribathon.eu, which is basically a platform where people can come together, and it also is a transcription tool where people can can work on documents with the tutorials on how to do that, because sometimes you have these postcards which have lots of information, and it's very difficult to point at where the text actually is. So we guide them through that process, and we allow them to zoom into the object, and to change the order of the documentation and everything. And then people start working on that, and this is very, very popular at the moment. What we do, we try to add a fun element to it. This is why we called it Transcribathon, which of course refers to a marathon. So we set a certain amount of documents ready for the audience, and this can be older people, this can be high school kids, but also university students, or even historians who would like to work on these documents. And they can then work throughout a certain period. This can be a month, a week, or 24 hours. And this is really the fun element, because then everybody keeps track of the progress of all the things that people do. So we count the number of characters that they do, the number of documents that they do, and it's not just transcription, by the way. It's also enrichment. So when there is a place mentioned in a document, you can pin it on a map. If there's a famous person, you can link, for instance, the Wikipedia page of that person on the same document. So there's a lot of rich enrichment of all those data getting on. So to give you an example, last week we organized, together with the National Library of Portugal and the National Theatre of Portugal, a transcribathon called Manuscritos no Palco, so manuscripts on stage, where we worked together with them on some 200 manuscripts from the 19th century that were not yet disclosed. So these were just high-level or high-quality digitizations of those plays. And then we worked together with students from universities in Lisbon, theater students or Portuguese philology students. And just within 1 week, they translated over 100 of those documents. Transcribed 100 of those documents. And at the end, there were prizes. So it was really a competition, but it was also a very serious thing. And I think it was a good example of how we organize these things. But yeah, so.
Yeah, interesting. You said working, like, are they getting paid or?
No, it's really all for fun, and you know what? That's so interesting. They love diving into historical instruments, manuscripts, and everything. They really like it's a kind of puzzle for them. So they don't care that they don't get paid.
Yeah.
And it's for the benefit of some institution. So if the institution can convince them that it's important that this heritage is being disclosed, then they are very happy to work with it.
Yeah. What are the requirements to participate?
Actually, there aren't. Everybody can do this. It depends on the institutions that we work with. So in this case, it was very obvious that students from the Lisbon universities would help us out here. But it can also be school kids, because it fits very well in the curriculum. Like in Greece, we did it together with. They didn't know about the role of Greece in the First World War, so it was a very welcome instrument for teachers to show the evidence that, look, these are grandparents, maybe not your grandparents, but these are older people who lived through the war, and there was actually a war in your country, and this was really very new and enlightening for those kids. So everybody can help.
And walk us through a bit, like, give us a sense of how do you deal with the checking, are they doing the accurately?
Yeah,
job done accurately.
That's a very good point, because we would like to be valuable to this whole process to be valuable to all the institutions that deliver the data. So a library delivers content to Europeana, and then the content is there, and this is then being transcribed, and then all the metadata, the enrichments, and the transcription itself are being connected to that document. So it has to be trustworthy. So what we do is we make sure that during every run there are at least historians or teachers involved who can review all the work that has been done, and actually they do check that. But there's also an element of fun in that. So people who transcribe a lot in a certain language, they get a higher rank. So at first you're a runner, and then you are a master, and then so you climb up the ladder, so to speak, the social, not the social ladder, but the improvement ladder, and then certain people are allowed to review documents. And once they are, so we have 3 stages. Yellow is being worked on, orange is ready for review, and green is that the document is ready for publication with all the and transcriptions and enrichments.
Yeah. What was your biggest challenge when you were running this program?
Well, one of the biggest challenges, and that's actually still the case, is to communicate in the language that the documents are. So we really need partners who translate the tutorial, who make sure that the documents are available and the interface is translated into other languages. And this being a European initiative, this is very problematic because we have to do it in Czech, we have to do it in Polish, we have to do it in all kinds of languages. And this is sometimes a big challenge because there's a lot to translate.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any of the was this project inspired by some other project out there that was prior to that, or?
Well, of course, there are more initiatives. I remember specifically where the idea came from. That was a presentation on the UK project called Transcribe Bentham. So there's this philosopher who had lots of notes, and they had digitized all those notes, and they asked the audience, please help us in trying to transcribe these documents. There were snippets. And there was a presentation, and it was so successful. And one of the things that struck me at that thing is when they reached out to that audience, there were so many volunteers all over the UK who wanted to help. So there were thousands of people actually who wanted to do that. Like you have this other initiative where people can see pictures from the universe, and then they can spot for new planets or everything. I mean, you don't have to have special knowledge for it. It's just a basic training on how to interpret what you see. And this is also an immensely popular thing. You don't have to have specific knowledge. You just look at the picture and you point at things you see. And this was the same with the Transcribe Bentham. And that really thought, okay, this is the way how we can engage with the crowd and make sure that the people who have the knowledge and the time to do this to help us out to disclose all those wonderful First World War documents.
Yeah. And do you have anything that you want to share with us here, or
maybe just to show you how a transcribathon looks, and so that you can see a little bit. It's a bit of a time loop. I think it's 40 seconds. So I'll share my screen with you, and then I'll share the video.
Fantastic. And feel free for anyone who has any questions, please feel free to put the questions in the chat. I'll pull those questions at the end, and then we'll go through it.
There is also some music here, but what you see here is in the Berlin State Library, where we invited the general public, by the way, to work on these. So these are high school kids, but also students from German universities, and also some elderly people, and they were given 24 hours to work on these documents. So they were allowed to go home, of course, but they were most of the time they were in the State Library working at these computers, working together, and then their progress was being recorded, and they had to present, because this is an element that's very important to us, that they show the evidence that they understood what they were doing and what was interesting to them. And then they were awarded prizes, and in the end you saw them having drinks and having a good time as well, because that's the most important thing. Apart from contributing to disclosing European cultural heritage, it's also fun.
Fantastic. Great. Awesome. So thank you, Ed. We'll come back to you later with some more questions when we open up. Now we move to Dylan. Dylan, you started the Smash House. Maybe you can give us your background a little bit, and then we move with some questions. So give us your background.
Yeah. First of all, Epi, great to see you again, man. It's been a little while. Epi's one of those people that brings the most amazing people I've ever met in my life together. I mean, I've met specialists in AI from, Google to whatever. So thank you. This is no different with these two gentlemen on this panel. So I feel privileged to be here. So basically, Smash House is a crowdsource engine for content in the media and entertainment space. I'm a producer, composer. I've been making music since I was 19 professionally, and I'm not 19 anymore. And there was a problem there because I couldn't get scale in my own business because I could only physically do as much as I could do. So I started to bring more people on. And then I realized managing more people took up so much of my time, I was actually losing money, right? And so I thought, well, I need more scale. So I got more TV shows, I booted up more people. And I thought, well, what could I do if I brought in technology to harness hundreds of composers that are out of work right now? Could I do, hundreds of TV shows and their scores? And that's what I did. So back in 2008, I created what I believe was the first crowdsource engine to harness composers and producers and employ them all over the world. And we embedded in post-production facilities in Hollywood to close the audio gap. And that allowed us to be sort of vetted. And so we acquired a lot of different jobs through that. And we did a lot of TV mostly, everything from American Idol to the Academy Awards to endless history, National Geographic Discovery shows. In the last 5 years, what's happened is, all the technology's caught up. When I was doing it, it was like 2 megabyte upload speeds, took 2 days, So now everybody's like, wow, that's a really good idea. And so these big companies have sort of picked it up. And unfortunately, they've trended towards abusing the privilege, right? They're getting content that's created by people that carry their overhead, carry the studio costs, carry all of that. And then they're acquiring that and giving it away to get market share. And I saw that coming and I said, all right, I don't want to be a part of this. About 6 years ago, I dipped out. And since then, I've pivoted the technology, and I just relaunched it this year to allow companies to directly source content from creators. So we're removing the need for middlemen, and we're creating full transparency, which in Hollywood it's very disruptive because 99.9% of all the companies in Hollywood keep Sony or their big Warner client away from the creators. And as a creator, I know that doesn't help you. I mean, I've got endless credits of music that I've put through a middleman that I'll never meet that client and I'll never be able to do my own business, and they take 50 to 80% of the income. So anyway, so I built Smash House as a technology bridge that does the things that middlemen do, which is needed, which is quality filter. At times, we can get ahead of the legal process and pre-clear content. Just for people that don't know really how the music industry works on film and TV, when you place a song on television, you have to pay what's called a sync license, which is an upfront fee. And then every time that song airs on television, the songwriters and the producers and the master owners, which could be the company that hired the songwriters and producers, all get paid a residual, divided up depending on what their shares of that song are. What middlemen do is they come in and they take 50% to 80% of that, and they take 50% of the upfront money. By cutting the middleman out, 100% of that money now goes to the creators. The music shows up on a quality first basis. That's my job. The content stands on its own if it stands on its own, and you work. So that's really what Smash House is. It's a way for content creators all over the world to reach vetted Hollywood projects. And we're working with really the biggest and the best in the business, Sony, BMG, UFC. We're doing a lot of projects directly with these companies. So that's Smash House. That's what I've created. And in a hopes to, how do you beat middlemen that are taking the industry into the ashes? You remove the need for them, and then it slowly starts to climb up. And networks, a Sony and a Warner, if Sony's offering more money than Warner, they start to get the good content. They start to have a better market position. They have internal assets that build their valuation stronger instead of investing in middlemen. So
what does this mean for the middleman and for the creator? Like the creators, they get more fairer distribution of the revenues, right? But
yeah.
What does it mean for the middleman?
Well, we don't want the middlemen involved at all. So they're going to have to figure out what it means for them. But there's always a need for middlemen in various verticals. The middlemen that I'm specifically talking about are the ones that are grabbing large scale content, holding their clients from, and there's a whole bunch of production music people doing that right now. by removing them, you develop a direct relationship. So if Epi, if you're the client and I'm the creator, we can actually work together. There's, you hire me again, you are working with the assets instead of the middlemen. So you can have access to value that you're building within your company, not just spending money on somebody else's company. And you're creating more of a valuable situation for the creative people involved, not the people that stand between the creative people. And I'm all about supporting the creative people. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. What's your massive goal beside like getting the middleman out of the equation here? Is it something you want to unleash this all over the world? Are you working with most of your creators in the US, or?
I am developing partnerships in countries all over the world. So we're in talks in South Africa, throughout the Nordics. Obviously, I'm tied in with Nordic LA and some other companies there. I'm based in Los Angeles. That's where the majority of the big media companies are, and the inventory of work right now. But again, we're creating partnerships in all these different countries, because the thing about this site, basically this app, is that it doesn't discriminate based on how many Instagram likes you have, or if you're Beyonce or not. If the song is great, the song rises to the top, and this is just the first step for us. We're going to move into video and then maybe images later if we want to try to tackle the big dogs. But the idea is there's no need for a middleman in the content industry if you can provide the same quality filter and transparency and efficiency. That's a huge thing for the media companies, is the efficiency.
Talking about the efficiency, how is it faster in this case?
Yeah, so the technology allows you to receive music as per your request, specific to your request, without receiving an email, a phone call, or anything. They put it out at direct messages, all of the creators that are specifically geared and qualified for that project. Music comes in on a quality first basis. They sort the music, then it's one email blast, they clear it, and they're done, right? This is extremely efficient, because right now, if you have, let's say you're BMG, you have 150, 250 people sending you Dropbox links and SoundCloud, and it's coming in all these different doors and all in emails, and you've got to call them and send them an email, and send you back an email. All of that goes away. There's no emails. The content comes in, the deal is done, you move on. So, and to give you an idea of the scale that we're looking at, we're dealing with a couple companies that are in the fitness space that need 800 songs per video, and they do 12 videos a month. There's no music publisher in the world that can do that, certainly not custom music at that scale. But we have the capability when we're fully ramped up. Again, we're just back to market, so not quite at that scale level yet. But yeah. But you're a master at crowdsourcing. If you've got great talent, you've vetted them, and who's good, you've segmented them out, then you can reach scale very quickly with a very efficient communication platform. And that's sort of our special sauce.
Great. Awesome. Well, let's move to Emil. Emil, you're MD for UK at Crowd Agency. Give us your background. How did you get involved with Crowd, and what made you join them?
Well, Epi, you've given me some real tough acts to follow. People who are building, on human knowledge, archiving it. Dylan, who's like disrupting the music industry, and cutting out the middlemen. And here I am, and what I'm doing is putting pretty pictures on the internet. But I'll talk about Crowd and the agency model that we have. So yeah, I'd worked in advertising for I guess 14, 15 years, and I saw a few trends happening. Number one, customers were using a huge diversity of platforms to engage with content, whether it's social media, mobile, and Netflix. The whole landscape of advertising had been kind of turned upside down. So for clients, they wanted specialists in a huge amount of different areas. But at the same time, they don't want that complexity. I mean, you know, if you have to work the best specialists in all the areas, in augmented reality, in data science, in performance marketing, all the same people who do your great creative campaigns, how do you access all of that through one front door? Well, you can go to a very generalist agency, or you can go to an agency which is set up in a slightly different way. And that's how I came across Crowd. And that was set up, you had a very interesting chart about, you know, that kind of first wave of crowdsourced disruptors in the industry around 2008. So Crowd was set up in 2011 by two guys, Luke Smith and Ben Knight. And they saw this challenge the industry was facing, all this increasing complexity. They felt the traditional agencies had not been set up in the right way to service clients and their needs. So they created Crowd, and Crowd, by its very name, by its very nature, is got crowdsourcing at its heart. Now, you wouldn't believe how many clients say, can we just have you as the agency, but without the crowdsourcing part? You know, like that happens quite a lot. Luxury brands, financial brands. It's like, it's in the name. It's you buy the whole package, you know? So, but I'll talk just a bit, and I'll geek out because a bit on the tech and how we work, because I kind of feel like the conversation has kind of gone a bit in that direction. So let me just put up a couple of slides so you understand how that model works. Right, okay, fingers crossed. Okay, you can see my slides, but I need to wait. Can you see the slides?
Yeah, they're out.
Okay, I'm going to full screen them. So just a bit about Crowd in numbers and how we work. And so we're a truly global agency, and we do everything pretty much. We're a one-stop shop, so we can, you know, we can make a video, we can produce videos, we can do really sophisticated data science modeling, we can integrate data and technology. We can put a PPC campaign live in Latvia, or for Babylon Health, we can write medical PR copy in Alabama. Like that is right for the kind of rules and regulations of that specific state. And we provide that access point to all this different talent around the world. And how it breaks down, we have 243 specialists in-house. So that's people that are employed by Crowd. And then we have a network of 2,400 crowdies that work across all these different disciplines, you know, which can be the buying of media, the creation of advertising, and all this data and strategic services. What's really powerful about it is that you can have loads of talent that you could never afford to have sitting in one place. But you know that once a month, you know, that someone will come and say, we really need that service, and we can reach out to them and they'll be able to bring it to us. And what's great is that they are a part of us. You know, we run conferences, we have a community. Many people move backwards and forwards between two working styles. So people work in-house and then they move on to the Crowdy network and then they come back, depending what's right for them at the moment. You know, it's great. Like some people can, you know, move back to their home countries, back to Hungary, or even go traveling around the world and become a Crowdy, and then we can support them, or they can support themselves through us. Because of that, we can cover all these different markets, 118 languages. That's for one of our clients, we're able to run campaigns and deliver creative in 118 languages all around the world. So 70% of our clients are multi-market and global. So you get centralized strategy, but we're always locally nuanced. We can be very agile, we're very efficient. You know, if you work with us across loads of markets, you don't have to deal with 6 different agencies in 6 different markets. It's one hub with a whole crowdsourced network of people. We've got that depth of specialism. And if our client says, you know, we need to increase our output by 50%, we can do that because we have this big network to work with. So it's and that's what drew me to Crowd, is that completely unique model and way of working. And I think probably in the industry I'm in, probably one of the most disruptive agencies I believe that's out there.
Yeah. Why should big brands embrace this model?
Well, I think it's because of the, I guess well, if they're big multi-market brands, especially if they're brands that require lots of different services, we can provide all the services that they require at any given point without them having to interface with 10 different agencies. And we can also activate and deliver campaigns on a global level extremely efficiently from one central point, instead of, again, having to deal with 10 different agencies. And you just get better, you get a wider range of people, more diverse range of talent, because, I can have like all the best creative happens in, in South and Central America. That's where like you get the best art directors, you get the, the most visionary like copywriters. And if you're just a standard agency based in the UK, you never have access to that awesome talent.
Yeah, I'm hearing here efficiency, right? Efficiency is the key. Of course, that drives the prices lower than the conventional advertising agencies. Do you see that the big advertising agencies see you guys as a threat or no?
Yeah, big time. We're very much like the agencies that we're competing with are the global networks now. So we are the plus one, the black sheep at the party at the moment, which is really exciting. So, I think where we want to move to is become established. Right now, we are the left field and slightly different option to the established networks. And there's that classic saying, no one ever got fired for hiring IBM, right? Like, and that's kind of true of those big networks. But I guess no one ever really got promoted for hiring IBM. And that's kind of the message we're trying to get across, that we believe we can do what those agencies can do, and we can do it better. And yeah, they're scared, and they've tried to buy us. So but we want to maintain that independence and grow ourselves, because as soon as we get subsumed, we become a different beast.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that analogy. I'm going to use that if I may.
Yes, you may. I'll give you the copyright to it.
Great. Thanks, man. Give us some examples from the creative campaigns produced by Crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. Or should I talk a bit about the tech? What would you prefer, about how it works and how we...
Let's do about the tech first. So, you're connecting data, technology, and creativity to drive business performance. How different is that in the model that you're doing?
Yeah, so Dylan, I thought there were a number of similarities in the way that you talked about the platforms that you've created. So we have on our platform what's called Crowd Control, and we have a network team that finds the talent and manages that community. So the first thing that we do, we say, okay, what capabilities, what people do we need? We go out there and we find those people, and then we assess their skills. So for a number, we've got about 200 exams for all loads of different tasks that they might do within marketing. Obviously, we don't have a creative exam or video production. Well, maybe for video production, we probably do, but for creativity, we won't. But we work out what their skill areas are, what their focus areas are. Then we teach them a crowd way of doing things, because we want to have consistency in the way we approach problems and tasks, especially when they're more technical ones. So then we have modules and an academy, which people can take those tests, take those courses through and then pass them. Then we give them badges, basically saying, yes, they're qualified to do X, Y, or Z. And so you can be qualified by doing a test. So you can be qualified if you're a very specialist skill by people within the business. Then within crowd control, every time we input the rates for people, how much they're charging for work, where they're based, their availability, and then we have a platform that then chooses the right person for a particular job. Within that, after they do that job, we score the people. So there's a bit of social proofing, and then that comes into the algorithm. So we're able to choose the right person for the right job, at the right price for our clients. So this kind of platform underpins everything we do. And I think since we've been founded, we've delivered 750,000 pieces of work through this platform.
Oh, that's amazing. So let's talk about your creative work that you've been producing with Crowd and that you're proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I'll stop sharing. I'm not going to play the video or anything, but so UGG is one of our biggest clients. It's obviously the footwear. During lockdown in the UK, they're struggling. They're launching a new product, the Fluffy Air, which is very fluffy. It's all about the experience for the UGG product, but no one could try it on. No one could see it in the shop. No one could feel it. Luckily, at that time, Snapchat had come out with a new AR lens, but at Crowd, we didn't have any AR augmented reality specialists within the business, but of course, within the Crowd network, we did. So we're able to reach out and work with a number of augmented reality specialists with our in-house creative team to create this augmented reality experience on Snapchat with the fluffy ears. We had, once we built that and we released it and pushed it out, UGG had 12 million try-ons of the virtual fluffy ear. And and from quite I guess experiential brand building piece of work, it significantly increased their bottom line revenue across the business. There was a massive spike when that bit of activity went live, even though it was playful, it was a bit of fun, but it kind of replicated that offline experience online. So really proud about that we're able to find those specialists on our network, bring them together around a common problem, and deliver a great piece of fun creative that people enjoyed.
Yeah. Did that help a lot in partnering with the Snapchat?
Yeah, I mean, of course, working with Snapchat, I think we're the second people to use it after Gucci, that augmented reality lens. But of course, Snapchat are innovative. They want to disrupt. They're the kind of small fish in the big pond at the moment. So yeah, it was definitely very enjoyable working with them, and I like working with more disruptive businesses such as Snap, rather than the established players potentially such as Google or Facebook. That we also have good partnerships with them. I think you might be on mute.
I'm talking to myself, right? This is the technology we're talking. So I'll ask the question for everyone here, so anyone can come in first. What are the challenges associated with crowdsourcing that you're facing? Anyone?
If I may,
Yeah,
I think
please.
at the moment it's competition.
Okay.
There's so much going on. There's so much crowdsourcing initiatives, and basically, if it's not about knowledge but about participating, then there's so many things for people to choose from that you have to really be careful in picking the right audience. That's what we come across with the Transcribe-a-thon, at least.
Okay.
I just have a comment. I just wanted to say that Emil was being very humble early on in the chat, because it's pretty incredible what you're doing, man. Hats off to you. Yeah, crowdsourcing challenges with me is always, what do you do with the bad talent? You know what I mean? Because you can only really leverage good talent, and you can spend a lot of bandwidth on people that are maybe not as competent. So you still want to honor those people and give them a shot in some way, shape, or form, or have them be part of the community. But how do you make that productive? So that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
And from my side, I agree with Dylan. It's that quality control piece that can take a lot of time if you're not engaging with the right talent. I think from clients, sorry, there's a helicopter flying above me, if you can hear that.
Run!
They've come for me. So from clients, I think luxury brands are probably, luxury and finance brands do put up barriers to working with crowdsourced talent. Luxury because they really want to know who's working on their brand. Finance from a information security point of view. I think finally, I guess automation, AI, doing a number of these tasks. Not all of them, but a number of them that we are currently crowdsourcing. Whether it's the transcription of Jeremy Bentham's notes. That could, in the not too distant future, you probably won't need to crowdsource that kind of work. Same for us. A lot of this will be automated, and it will, I guess, for us, eat away at the competitive advantage that we currently have.
Yeah. Tim is asking a question. Tim Wright is asking a question to add. Really interesting project. Are there legal and moral issues with engaging the crowds at your project?
Not really, as long as people agree with the fact that their transcription and their enrichments will be made publicly available for everybody. So there is no, how do you call this, intellectual property right on what they do. And as long as they agree to that, there are no issues. No, really. And also morally not, maybe only cheating but that's difficult because we track the characters that they transcribe. So they're easily tracked for that. But no, I don't think there are any. We didn't encounter so far. We run this project now for 3 years, and we didn't encounter any problems with that.
Got you. Okay, any more questions? Anyone has any questions, or any of you have any questions for one another or for me perhaps?
I've got a question for Emil again. How do you operate in so many different countries? I mean, do you have local representatives that handle those territories, or is it just all done through the centralized location online?
So our crowding network are our local representatives, but they're not full-time employees. So they're freelancers, but freelancers that have been through our kind of quality control process, if you will. All the administration and, let's say, the management and the strategy is done out of the UK. So, well, we have a business in New York as well. So we've got coverage in New York as in a hub of account management and strategy that our clients interface with. But those teams then work directly with the crowdies, which are spread around those 118 markets. So the way it works is that the client will not generally speak directly to the people in the crowdies in the market. They will funnel all requests through the central management teams that we have in the UK and the US. So that's how it works. And then the work is distributed through the crowd control platform.
Amazing. Somebody's getting a root canal, I think, somewhere in the, or they're making a latte, one of the two. Epi, I had a quick question. When is the Bold Awards again? It's coming up, right?
So it's already up. We are going through the second round of submissions. Now we have 20 categories there in pretty much in AI and robotics and so on. The actual event itself, which is the physical event, which is attached to the whole entire program, it's in March next year at XpoNorth, which is outside of Venice, Italy. So it's a very unique place. XpoNorth is one of the most unique and probably one of the largest innovation campuses in Europe. Yeah. Awesome. So I have a question here for you. This is from Tim again about the NFTs. So Dylan is talking about the, what is it? Can you see that?
I'm sorry. Let me read it. I thought you were going to read it.
I can't
okay. It is Dylan, with the emergence of the NFTs. Will the emergence of the NFTs make the process of securely exchanging product between composers and those who use it easier? And if so, will it grow the crowd market? First of all, when Ad was talking about what he does, I was thinking, well, are they doing digital NFTs for all of these historical items? You know, because I think that's actually maybe a better application for NFTs. But to answer your question, Tim, NFTs are still fresh for everyone. They're the big hot thing. They're the Bitcoin of the year for us in the music industry. I believe that it's hard to create NFT at any kind of scale that's meaningful. I feel like the famous people will continue to use it to get to find new revenue streams. But if you're not famous, what's it worth? And you know, the majority of the people are not famous. So I think there's applications for using NFTs as a way to register copyrights, or at least have a redundancy plan where you can have a fingerprinted thing that says, on this date, I registered this, that you can point to in a legal discussion about your content IP. Now, other than that, I think NFTs are interesting. I mean, look, anytime you can bookmark your work and leave a digital representation of it that nobody can dispute, it's not a bad thing in the creative content world. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any more questions?
I know there's one for Emil below that, actually. It says, Emil, do you crowdsource the development of your platform?
Yeah, I kind of answered that in the chat, which probably I shouldn't have. Yes, of course we crowdsource the development of our platform. As I said there, we have to practice what we preach, but we do also have an in-house tech team. Pretty much anything we do, we find a way to at least crowdsource an element of it. So you know, yeah, we believe in the model.
And there is actually another question about videos, Epi, for you.
Your mic's muted again, Epi.
Yeah. So there's the question: how useful or essential would you say a quality short video is in crowdsourcing? We
Are we
intend to
talking
make
about
it.
crowdfunding, or are we talking about crowdsourcing in this case, right?
In this case, it's about to raise funding for a feature documentary. It says.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if I may say, yes, the easier you can make it for people to participate or to contribute, the better it is. So, a short video, if it explains your case clearly, visually, and also with sound, that really helps. That's certainly something we learned with Transcribathon. We have videos for educators who want to work with Transcribathon, and this is the most watched video at the moment. And they really, it's really a concise means of getting them on board. So I would say yes.
Yeah, it's also same thing for the crowdfunding itself. If you're doing a crowdfunding raise, definitely video is a must. And so, but you can be creative depending on the product that you're launching with. But yeah, definitely it is a must for crowdfunding. Okay, great. Any other questions? I don't see any questions. Any other questions? Well, if not, I'd like to thank all of you for being part of this this session. I truly enjoyed it. Great seeing you guys here, and thank you all for being part of this session. For me, it's almost midnight, so after this, I'm heading to bed. But for the rest of you, enjoy the rest of the sessions in the XpoNorth. And again, thank you all for being here, and hope to see you guys soon. Take care.
Cool.
Thank you, Epi. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Epi. Thanks for the invite.
I'll connect with everyone else off thread here.
Yeah, it'll be great. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. It was a pleasure.